Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Means we're brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Got Jordan Kitchens and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and plenty to react to from a weekend in sports. It was a wild regional weekend that is ongoing. I'm sitting here watching St. John's and Florida State. We'll keep you posted on that and give you my thoughts on the weekend that was. Ross Jackson, 5 standouts from Saints OTAs over the weekend. We'll give you some thoughts on what the New Orleans media is looking at down there in Metairie. I got roasted on Twitter last night and again this morning. We'll discuss at the end of the hour. We will discuss at the end of the hour. Charles Powell is with Rivals. He was at the Elite 11 camp over the weekend. Peyton Houston turned some heads there at Rivals camp, so we'll get Charles Powell's thoughts on that. He will join us on the phone at 2 o'clock. Looking forward to that. And the baseball transfer portal is open. Didn't figure there would be any incoming LSU Tigers today. It's a little quick for that, but there are a few on their way out, and there are some names jumping in that I'm intrigued by, so we'll get into all the baseball transfer portal talk in hour number 2. Let's crank things up the way we do every single day. It's our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
I'll be honest with you. I was a little surprised at what I saw on my social media feeds this weekend when it comes to LSU's football recruiting weekend. I knew on Friday, entering the weekend, it was a big, big weekend. You had some of the best players, including what some believe is the best player in the country on campus. And there weren't any commitments, and we didn't expect that because it was at that time May, it's now June. And we realize that these high-profile players oftentimes are going to run this thing to the end of the race because they want to get the bidding war as high as they can possibly get. And I understand that. This was just an opportunity to make an impression. So I wasn't going into the weekend with huge expectations on huge commitments. Like, yeah, if you could get Easton Royal to flip to LSU from Texas, that would be sweet, but I wasn't expecting it. I also wasn't expecting to fire up the old social media machine and see Ed Ogeron all over my socials. He was everywhere. And this was not like a one-time thing. He's doing D-line drills at one point. He's in the LSU Tiger Stadium tunnel, slapping the wind bar, telling them about the best sound in football, and the Tigers going to war. And he's got all his purple and gold on, and he's leading the charge. I did not expect to see that. And so I decided, like, what do I make of it? And I'll tell you this, when this hire happened, I did not think a lot of it. And I said that on the show. Not that I thought poorly of it. I just didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't think it was a bad thing, and I didn't think it was a program-changing thing. I thought, okay, Ed Ogeron would like to be here. He's got a good relationship with Lane Kiffin. Like, he's not going to hurt anything. Bring him on in. I just didn't see him so quickly running to the head of the line as a big, big piece of these recruiting weekends. Because there was no such thing as the special assistant to recruiting and defense prior to Ed Ogeron coming in. It wasn't like he was filling someone else's role. He was just brought in to fill one. And it had been expressed to me like maybe this is a deal where, yes, he would like to help, but also it'd be nice to be on a payroll, get some health insurance, make a few dollars, like some of those things. And I understand all that. But he was like in the middle of the recruiting weekend. And that was surprising to me. Not in a bad way or a good way. I just didn't see that coming. And I think it means a couple of things as I try to internalize it and digest it. One, Ed Ogeron told a lot of people after he was fired at LSU that he loves LSU. He told the Little Rock Touchdown Club. He told the Barstool guys. Like, he said that a number of times. And you tend at this point to kind of believe him, right? Like, a lot of folks harbor a lot of resentment toward organizations that fire them. And I have no doubt, well, very, very little doubt. I shouldn't say none. I don't know Ed Ogeron. I have very, very little doubt that Ed Ogeron thinks Scott Woodward gave him a raw deal. And I would imagine that Ed Ogeron takes a little bit of solace in the fact that Brian Kelly didn't immediately come in and flip the whole thing and win 3 national championships. And that Brian Kelly flamed out. And that, hey, I maybe was doing something right around here. And so I do think that there are some of those feelings right after the firing. But I think when you get down into Ed Ogeron's core, he really does love LSU. And that's just not necessarily the case with every sports coach and his job. You may work yourself into that. Like Vince Dooley loved Georgia at the end. He didn't go there. Pat Dye loved Auburn. He went to Georgia. So some guys who spend their entire career at a place and build something and build a legacy and they build statues of people, like, I get that. You stick around for a long time. But Ogeron didn't go to LSU, and he came here and coached. He was the head coach for 6 years. Not that long a time. But I do believe in his core that he really does love LSU, and he had the opportunity to come back because a friend of his got the head job, and here he is. So that's one piece of it. It's like, I think he does actually love LSU. I don't think it was just blowing smoke. And I think Ed Ogeron playing a role in recruiting is probably a good thing. The guy just loves it. There are so many coaches who do not love the grind and the relentless effort that it takes to go recruit high school players, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. There are coaches that love their sport. They love the X's and O's. They love developing skills. They love competing at the highest level. They love competing for championships. They don't love trying to court 17-year-olds. Ed Ogeron does. He loves it. Look at the video on social media from Saturday where he's got that group of 5-star prospects in the tunnel in Tiger Stadium. I don't know. We can't see any of their faces. They're looking at him, and the camera shot is from their backs. But you can see him. And you can tell that he is treating this like they're going out to play Bama on a Saturday night. He's got the gear on. He's talking about 102,000 screaming fans. He's talking about tradition is to run between the goalposts. He's talking about slapping the wind bar. Like, he is psyched up and fired up to do it. And guess what? Here's my thing. I don't know Lane Kiffin that well, and I've never seen him coach a game at LSU. My sense is that he's not going to deliver that specific message. The late May empty Tiger Stadium, walk through the tunnel to an empty stadium demonstration like Ed Ogeron is. Lane Kiffin is happy to sit down with you and tell you how they're going to use you in the offense. He's happy to turn on the film and show you this and that and the other. He is happy at this point to sit down with Billy Glasscock and talk numbers. He's happy to do the recruiting thing. He's not going to deliver an empowered and impassioned speech in the bowels of an empty Tiger Stadium to 25 people in the tunnel like it's a Saturday night in October. Like, that just doesn't, to me, seem like Lane Kiffin. Well, you got someone who wants to do it and who actually has literal firsthand experience doing it for 6 years. So you put him on the staff, and he's out there. And, hey, you got the number one player in the nation who happens to be a defensive lineman. You know who's really good at recruiting defensive linemen? Ed Ogeron. I turn on the Twitter machine. There he is, locked up in a defensive hand position drill with the top recruit in the nation. I don't see Lane Kiffin doing that. I just don't think that's his deal. So Lane Kiffin delegates it. I know a guy who wants to do that. Let's go. Now, I don't think LSU's going to flip Brewster from Texas Tech. The guy goes to the same high school that Texas Tech's head coach went to. Texas Tech has tons of money. I don't think they're going to get him. But when I talked to you last week about this hiring, if 10 is program saving and a 0 is just absolute bottoming out, my thoughts on Ed Ogeron joining LSU staff were squarely at a 4 or 5. It's like, whatever. Not going to hurt. Not going to be a big deal. Now it's like a 6. Like, I think I have now believed that Ed Ogeron actually serves a purpose on this staff. I kind of had the sense that he was just going to kind of be a figurehead. He'll be in the office. He likes being around. if you got somebody that you want to come in for a visit, he'll be there and he'll say, "Go Tigers," and put the L up and take a picture. Absolutely not. This guy is like intimately involved in all the proceedings this weekend with some of the best players in the country and wants them to be at LSU. I don't think he's grabbing a headset on game day. Maybe he is, but he's not going to be talking on it. I don't think he's going to be running drills at practice all the time. He's going to be out there. He's going to be involved. And I did not think that when they brought him in. And I think there is something of a respect I have for Ed Ogeron to go right back to a place that fired you. Amidst, look, they got blown out by Mississippi State. They got blown out by UCLA. They got blown out by Kentucky. The bottom was falling out of the thing, and they fired him. And that's an embarrassing thing for someone who was at the top of the mountain 2 years earlier, the very top of the history of college football. It's the best team we've ever seen. He was right there on the podium with the confetti falling in his home state, in the Superdome, as high as his career can possibly go. And less than 2 years later, done. And he walks right back in the door 4 years later and is like, "Hey, go Tigers. Who can we get? What 5 stars around that wants to play here? I'll tell them how awesome it is." That's not very common, y'all. That's just not very common. And it is a weird, weird circumstance where Will Wade is here and Johnny Jones is here and, yeah, Ed Ogeron's here. It's a weird set of circumstances. And I'm not here to wax poetic about how great LSU is in that being. I am here to tell you that I have some respect for Ed Ogeron for jumping right back in and doing what he thinks is best. And I don't think this is purely a money grab. It's $100,000 a year. The man just got paid, what? LSU over his time here paid him upwards of $50 million to be the coach. It's not purely for the money. I think somewhere there in his guts, there is an LSU Tiger. And that was something I just did not expect to see on Saturday. So I'm not here to tell you that he's going to change the game for LSU recruiting or that this is a complete difference maker in LSU recruiting. I'm not here to overemphasize. I told you I went from a 4 or 5 to a 6 on his hiring. But he surprised me with how involved he was this weekend and the energy that he brought this weekend and how visible he was on the biggest recruiting weekend of this cycle to this point for LSU, and Ed Ogeron was right in the middle of it. My biggest takeaway is not that they're going to get those guys, or not that a flip is coming, or not that LSU is going to now sign a top 5 class because they weren't. My biggest takeaway is Ed Ogeron would like to be at LSU, and he's happy to be here. He's going to help. I think that's cool. That is my takeaway from the situation. We're off and running here on this Monday, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. They're online at guaranteehealth.com. Guaranteehealth.com. When we come back, something happened this weekend I really wasn't expecting. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com is the website. Don't worry about the website. Just go. Right now it's raining outside, which it does almost every single day in the summer. But golf is still fun. But you can't play while it's pouring down rain or while the course is soaked. We'll go to Swing Easy. It's not pouring down rain. Nothing's soaked. You're inside at the simulator. You can play Pebble Beach. You can play Cypress Point. You can play TPC Sawgrass. You can play TPC Louisiana right down the road. All in the comfort of the AC on the simulator with the cold drink, with the music going, with the TV on, comfortable seating. Bring your friends or just get some work in by yourself. Go at lunch. Go before work. Go after work. No time constraints. No weather constraints. Just some golf indoors at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. They're on at Segan at Perkins at swingeasygcbr.com. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Over the last couple of months, been telling you, storm season's coming. I can now no longer use coming. It's here. June 1st officially opens hurricane season here in South Louisiana. Don't wait until the storm is in the Gulf to get that Generac home standby generator. Make the call to Boudreaux's Electrical today. 985-397-1562. It's 985-397-1562. Or at the Gonzales location, 225-300-9389. Call them up, say, hey, come on out, take a look at the house. I'd like to get this set up before one of these storms rolls through. They'll send a team out. They'll give a look. They'll give you a quote. You decide to do the installation. They send a local team out to do the installation. And locally, that Generac home standby generator is being monitored 24/7 to make sure it's up and running. Because when that storm comes through, you're going to want to have that generator to throw your power back on when it goes off. Whether that's riding the storm out, we do that sometimes. Sometimes you evacuate. But you don't want to come back to a 98-degree dark house where everything in the fridge and freezer's got to be thrown out. You'd rather just come back to one that's up and running. And that's what will happen if you got that Generac home standby generator from the local folks at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. So call them up, 985-397-1562, and get that Generac home standby generator installed before that storm forms in the Gulf this year. All right, I'll tell you all this, and I wrote about it at LouisianaSports.net this morning in a column that I really enjoyed writing. I did not know how I would feel when the selection music played on Memorial Day. And I told y'all last week, I watched it with interest. I just didn't have any anxiety or that nervous feeling that you get. And you crave that, right? I don't want ever LSU to miss the NCAA tournament again, ever. It's awful to think about that happening. But I got a different perspective on the regionals this weekend. And y'all, I had a blast. I never want to do it again. Never want to do it again. But I enjoyed the heck out of it. For those regionals, I'm in the box, rain delays, double headers, 8 hours at a time, trying to watch on my computer, but really watching LSU and writing stories. And I would much rather be doing that. But getting a chance to sit back, no anxiety, no nervous tension, not focused on what's in front of me, but just kind of spraying the board and seeing what's out there. This tournament was bonkers this weekend, y'all, and I loved it. I had a blast. I'm watching UCLA, a team that was put together 2 years ago, and John Savage made the decision to ride it out with a bunch of freshmen in the lineup, and they were terrible. They went out there and went 19-33, missed the tournament by a mile. But he rode it out with freshmen, and all of a sudden last year, they were sophomores. You saw them in Omaha. Chalowski morphed into the best player in the country, and Molevi Lavu was an excellent player, and they had, you saw them play in Omaha last year, and they were brilliant this year. They were juniors. This was their year. They were preseason number one. They never lost a weekend. Never lost a weekend. How many great teams you've seen roll through here at LSU? And I realize they played in the Big Ten. It's a different story. But still, you slip up a weekend. You don't play very well. Somebody hits a couple of homers. You deal with some adversity. They didn't deal with any adversity. They won the Big Ten outright. They went to Arlington, played 3 SEC teams, beat them all. Went to the Big Ten tournament, won them all. Like, they were a juggernaut. And they couldn't hit runners in scoring position. Could not hit. Could not hit St. Mary's when they got runners on base. Now, they came to life on Saturday and found a way to get that win and get to Sunday, and then they got themselves in trouble again, and they couldn't get out of it, and they crumbled. And I was pulling for them. I want all the good teams that aren't in the SEC to go as far as they can. Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Florida State, I'm all for them. I'm watching Florida State right now. They're struggling with St. John's. They're down 3 in the late innings. I want the good teams to beat the good SEC teams when that time comes. So I'm pulling for UCLA, but they couldn't get it done. St. Mary's was an incredible story to watch. Locally, y'all watched Little Rock last year. Pain in the neck. When that game ended on Monday night, I came in here on Tuesday, and I said, now that this is over, and I don't sound like a spoiled brat, I am so glad they're gone. I was so sick of watching them rocket balls into the seats, catch balls diving in the gap. They were a pain in the neck for everybody. LSU handled them on Friday. Ianson was pitched great, and LSU won the game on Friday. They came out on Saturday and swung it, and they came out on Sunday and swung it, and they kicked LSU's teeth in on Sunday night. And they showed up ready for another fight this year. Like, a lot of times those teams have that run, and then the program just like that was their 1 month of great baseball, and then they go back to being a nobody. Not Little Rock. They played great, won their conference tournament again. They went to Hattiesburg, dealt with those dudes. They crushed them on Friday. We talked about it during the show, but they never slowed down. Won the regional. Heck of a job by Chris Curry. And, oh, by the way, local story. Milwaukee was here on opening weekend. And I did say, on Monday of that week, I said, y'all may think I'm crazy, but I've seen a lot of those cold weather teams come down here and be terrible. And while, yes, Milwaukee got trounced in those 3 games by LSU if you look at it by an aggregate score. In watching them, I thought they were a functional team. And they kind of proved that. And then they went out there and have gotten to a regional final here. Like, they got their hands full with Auburn tonight, and they'll probably get beat. But they were absolutely up to the test for 3 days in that regional. We'll see what they do tonight. They may come out and hit a 3-run homer in the first inning. But, like, locally, that's a pretty interesting story. Now, of note elsewhere, things that caught my eye, I mean, the meltdown by Kentucky last night, y'all. Were y'all watching this? I mean, a meltdown. They take the lead. They hit back-to-back home runs to stretch it to 3 going to the bottom of the 9th. You're thinking, all right, they got this thing on ice. Like, okay. And then they just vomit all over the field. I don't have another way to say it. Their third baseman can't field a ground ball. Then their pitcher, I mean, how long's he been pitching? He's a sophomore in college. You figure since he's 12, he's been pitching for a decade. He steps off the back of the mound and then doesn't throw the ball to first base. Balk, sends a run home, and then bang, West Virginia drives one out of the ballpark to right field. Here we are. And that gets sent to a Game 7. West Virginia was here last year. Steve Saban, same coach there, and they got a couple of guys back off that team that LSU outclassed. They couldn't get LSU out on the mound last year. But I was sitting there watching Kentucky, and I tweeted this out. At entering the 9th inning last night, Kentucky had 3 teams in front of it to get to Omaha. West Virginia, who they need to get 3 outs against, and then Cal Poly and St. Mary's. That's all that's between Kentucky and Omaha. And they gave it up last night, but they got a chance today. But this Kentucky team is terrible. By SEC Omaha standards, Kentucky is terrible. Kentucky lost a series to LSU this year. You saw. How did LSU do? 9-21. Is that good? It's not. Kentucky lost a series to South Carolina. Did you see them in the box this year? Could not hit their way out of a wet paper sack. Kentucky lost a series to them. Kentucky lost a series to Missouri. Missouri has won 2 series in 2 years in SEC play. Kentucky lost to LSU, Missouri, and South Carolina, the worst 3 teams in the league. In 10 SEC weekends, they went 2-8. They're sitting there with nobody out in the 9th inning last night with West Virginia, St. Mary's, and Cal Poly in front of them to go to Omaha. That is the point of, if you're an LSU fan and you're watching this team, not just this year, but any year moving forward, if it is March 31st or April 31st and you're not happy with how they're playing, just get in. Just get in. You think St. John's had an awesome year this year, start to finish? They're looking at winning the Tallahassee Regional right now. Did you see Milwaukee this year? Got annihilated by LSU in February. They're on the doorstep of a super regional. Little Rock, 2 years in a row. Kentucky was trash this year. I know they were hurt. Bell got hurt. I know they got hurt. They had some hurt guys. That does not excuse losing to Missouri, South Carolina, and LSU. So just get in. And it was chaos like that all over the place all the time. I had a blast doing this show on Friday, watching Tennessee and East Carolina at each other's throats. East Carolina hits Tennessee hits a 2-out homer to tie the game in the 9th inning. Incredible. Incredible. The environment in Lincoln, Nebraska this weekend was great. Now, Ole Miss punked them. I told y'all on Thursday last week, I liked Ole Miss because they're starting pitching. And Hunter Elliott did his job, and Rabe was fantastic. And last night, you got enough out of Townsend, and the bats came alive and hit some homers. Because that's what they do. And Ole Miss has the chops to win this thing. You think anybody in Oxford, Mississippi today is watching this game between Milwaukee and Auburn? This is the difference. If Auburn wins, Ole Miss is going to Auburn. If Milwaukee wins, Milwaukee's going to Oxford, and LSU and Ole Miss has got to beat Milwaukee twice to get to the Super. That is the biggest stakes you could have in a game you're not playing in. So that's awesome. I thought the environment in Kansas was just sensational. You saw Dan Fitzgerald, former coach here at LSU, takes that job. Couple years in, he gets them as they get a regional host site locked up to put together a tarped off area behind the left field fence they've never used, and called it the backyard. They had 85 people in lawn chairs out there. It was great. And Arkansas showed up. It's a quick drive over there. I looked it up. It's like 3.5, 4 hours. Hawk fans were there. Kansas didn't care. Rock Chalk drowned out Pig Suey, and they sent them packing with ease. Bet Cooper Moore didn't see that coming when he left Lawrence. He got hurt, but he'd be home. Would he make it? And Kansas is a super. It was an incredible environment for a team that's never hosted a regional, ever. I thought that was cool. USC comes fighting back, and they got a chance to win the regional in College Station this week. And look, they made what now you could call a mistake. I wouldn't call it that, but you could. They have one ace. They saved him on Friday. Texas State beat him. They were saving him for A&M. Texas State beat him. But that's the risk you run when you don't throw your ace. Like, all that stuff, I just had a blast watching it. And I don't ever want to feel that way again, but it deepened my appreciation for college baseball. And some of you probably felt exactly like I did. Some of you didn't watch a single pitch because LSU's not in it. That's perfectly fine too. And some of you probably just couldn't muster the strength because you were sick, LSU wasn't in it. Any of those three camps is completely reasonable. But I know which one that I fell into, and it was, I like this tournament a lot. Let me lock in with no emotional investment. Let me lock in and just watch and see the entertainment value. And it was great. And the last piece to this puzzle that I wrote about in my column at LouisianaSports.net is that squeeze play continues to just be great. They got Chris Budden running it, and Rooney and Burke are just great. They perfectly blend baseball knowledge of the players that are out on the field, humor, complete attention deficit disorder, like flying around to 6 different screens at one time, and the longevity and the no commercials. It's just great. It's awesome. And I had a blast this weekend watching the regionals. I can't wait to watch the Supers, and I can't wait to watch Omaha. And look, there's a possibility that if USC can win in Bluebell Park tonight, that I got a pretty stress-free watch the rest of the way. Like, I don't want A&M to win. I don't really want Ole Miss to win, even though they're in the club. Y'all know my analogy here. I'm the bouncer. I've been completely self-appointed as the bouncer. But once you get into the club, I can't really talk to you anymore. You're in. Ole Miss, you're in. Mississippi State, you're in. Florida, you're in. What am I going to do? But if you're not in the club, A&M's not, Arkansas is not. If you're not in the club, I'm trying to keep you out. That's my watching interest. And to this point, Arkansas hasn't gotten in, and they're home for the summer. And A&M's got 9 innings to go. Now, I would strongly bet on A&M tonight because I just like their offense. But if USC can find a way amidst those goofy bubbles tonight at 8 o'clock, I got super regional weekend where I can just kind of watch. Because even though I don't really want Georgia or Mississippi State to win, like, they're the same. They both won national titles, and they're both in the league. Like, somebody's going to lose, somebody's going to win. Even though I don't really want Auburn in, I don't really want Ole Miss to win, assuming Auburn wins tonight over Milwaukee, like, it is what it is. They're SEC teams. But Arkansas and A&M were my top 2 foes. And Arkansas is gone, and A&M is 1 game away. We'll see what happens tonight. Again, I'd bet on A&M, but we'll see. I had a blast watching over the weekend, and I'm curious if y'all did as well. All right, we got a lot to do here over the next 90 minutes here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Ross Jackson writing about Saints OTAs over the weekend. I'll get into some of his thoughts and kind of add some color to that as we move forward. Plus, my Twitter beef from yesterday. We'll get into that at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. I told you all of May about the great deals they had on some of their trucks, and those are gone. The May deals have been taken off the table as of now, June 1st. But I got some great deals coming for you tomorrow. But just keep in mind, Fabry Chevrolet, open and running up there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Been in business for 35 years, 3 locations, 5 brands. You know the Fabry family. You know the customer service that you get when you work with the Fabry. So if you're looking for a new SUV for that family road trip, wherever it may be, got to load the kids up, need a new ride, they got you covered. Need a new truck, they've got you as well. They've got new, They've got certified pre-owned, and the entire inventory is online at FabryChevrolet.com. So start your process there. I know it's a clicks world right now that we live in. So start right there, but I highly suggest you get on by Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Take a test drive and experience that customer service for yourself. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're online at FabryChevrolet.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Love reminding you about my friends at Marucci. Go take a tour at Marucci. A lot of my friends are really feeling the squeeze because their kids are out of school and they don't know what to do with them, right? Well, if you're looking for something to do middle of the day with kids, I can't more highly recommend going to take a tour over at Marucci. It's such a cool tour to see visually, to go see where they make the bats that are used by the best players in the world, the official bat of Major League Baseball, but also to hear the story about how it went from a shed in Baton Rouge to the official bat of Major League Baseball. It's kind of twofold there, where you see the process, but you learn about the long-standing process that got them here to where they are today. And look, if you're looking for something to do for the kids that may take a little bit more time than just taking a quick tour, take some swings in the cage. Become a member. You get key card access 24/7 to the Marucci cages. You can take some hacks all summer long. So again, looking to get those kids out of the house, Marucci may be an awesome way to do that. And you might want to go take the tour. It's pretty cool. Go check them out at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. That's my friends at Marucci. All right, the Saints are off and running for OTAs here as we get into June. And Ross Jackson has been out there at all the open availabilities for New Orleans. And so this is where I really have to lean on the folks over there on the beat, because we're not there at practice. They are. So really what this comes down to is they report and we respond, right? And so Ross wrote a piece at LouisianaSports.net over the weekend about the standouts early on from OTAs. And I'm not here to read too much into all of it. They're still running around in shorts. You're not talking about full contact. You're talking about guys that are getting their feet under them, learning the system, and just kind of getting the blood flowing a little bit against professionals. So I'm going to take a look at all these names that Ross listed and just kind of give a thumbnail on each. Kevin Austin is the first name he listed, veteran wideout, and he said made the best catch of the day, went up high to snag a pass over the middle of the field, and he really looked good out there. And I would suggest that Kevin Austin is not a likely addition to the active roster. Now, he could certainly make it as one of the very, very last, as a guy who can help you in a pinch at wide receiver and certainly on special teams. More likely practice squad, but that's a guy that you would imagine is sticking around on this team. And it's good to develop that depth because we know how badly the Saints were hurt at wide receiver last year. Good to have extra guys. If Kevin Austin is one of your top three receivers, I think something's kind of gone off the rails there. But it's good to have him there and good to see him making some plays. Now, the next name I'm a little more interested in, that's Kool-Aid McKinstry that he mentioned. And Ross writes, McKinstry was given props by defensive coordinator Brandon Staley near the sideline after the team's 7-on-7 drills. He was in coverage of the top wideout in each rotation he faced and didn't appear to give up much space at all in coverage. Again, not here to overreact to an OTA workout for Kool-Aid McKinstry, but I don't think it's a stretch to suggest that his improvement, what he gets to as a cover man, is a big piece to what they're trying to do on defense. I feel pretty good about where they are at safety. I feel pretty damn good about where they are rushing the passer. I feel okay about the interior defensive line. And I think Caden Ellis adds a degree of certainty with DeMario Davis going out at the linebacker spot. I think they're pretty good at some of those other spots. I am concerned a little bit about their ability to cover on the outside. And McKinstry having a nice workout is absolutely positive in that. And I think more so than examining what he did in one workout, it's just, hey, understanding that's a guy that needs to improve. If he's out there and doing some good things, that's a positive at this point in the calendar. Now, how about this next name that Ross lays out? It's Bryce Lance. And Ross writes that Lance moves so remarkably well for a player his size. It leaps off the field while you're watching him. He didn't come up with any highlight grabs or big plays, but the dedication to his craft, working and talking with the other wideouts off to the side, his movement ability were highlights enough. It appears to me that those who were out there at Saints rookie minicamp, that are out there at OTAs, are noticing Bryce Lance. Is he catching 3 touchdowns a day? No. Is he the best player on the field? No. Is he someone they're noticing and going, oh, might keep an eye on that come training camp? It is. And it's not just a Ross thing. This is something that you're seeing consistently out of those who are checking out Saints practices and OTAs. That's a really good thing, because if you can sneak a positive contributor at that point in the draft, right there in the middle rounds, that's a great, great thing. Now, he's got some guys to leapfrog, and it may take some time, and it may not be a year one thing, but it may be a year one thing if injuries happen. And hey, he wouldn't be the first ever middle round rookie draft pick to come on and be a big contributor. I like the frame. I like the profile. I like the way that people are talking about him. So that's a very, very big positive as the Saints look at their wide receiver numbers. Interesting name from Ross here. Not a guy that I would have considered, and we realize what they're doing in OTA is not a ton of full contact stuff, but Dylan Radins is a name that he mentioned, and that's a guy who was in the middle of a patchwork offensive line last year, right? Well, now he's a depth piece because they went out and fortified left guard with Edwards, and so Radins is able to swing a little bit. And Ross writes that retaining Radins may have been one of the wisest moves the Saints made in the offseason, keeping that depth and building that offensive line. Radins won the team's reaction drill, led by Director of Sports Performance Ted Rath. Along with strength, movement ability, and high football IQ, reaction time is vital for linemen. Radins showed us on Thursday with a knockout tournament-style drill that required players to react to call-outs from Rath in a split second. So look, that's what we're talking about here, where no one is suggesting that winning a reaction drill means he's going to be your starting right guard over Cesar Ruiz. But you're just taking some notes, and that's a guy who you're going to need at some point. You're going to need Dylan Radins at some point. Your top 5 offensive linemen are not going to play 17 games. Just not going to happen. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's an impossibility, because that's hyperbole, but it's very close to an impossibility. Starting just 5 linemen for 17 weeks, just very unlikely. And so Radins in having some experience and being a depth piece is a good thing for New Orleans. The last name Ross mentions is Julian Blackman. Sanker kicking down to that star spot. So Blackman returning to the deep safety position, obviously notable. He was a standout when he was on the practice field last year for New Orleans. There is no doubt it was a unanimous chorus from those who are watching. And that's a guy that's going to be called upon to be a big-time piece to what the Saints have. It's kind of a diamond in the rough find last year. No two ways about it. Not a guy that got a lot of fanfare, not somebody we were talking a lot about as of July 1st last year, July 15th last year. But he made some waves in Saints camp, and obviously doing a little bit more of the same there in OTA. So you look at Kevin Austin, that piece at wide receiver. Kool-Aid McKinstry, where is your ceiling? Where are you building towards as a cornerback in this league? Bryce Lance as a wide receiver as well. Can you add depth? Can you break into the rotation as a great athlete? We'll see Dylan Radins' depth piece on the offensive line. Julian Blackman now entrenched as a starting safety with Jonas Sanker headed down into that star role. Big, big spot. And then, of course, Ross throws a hat tip. Honorable mention to Tyler Shuck, who's not doing too much, but always good to sprinkle that name for positivity in there on those reports. Ross is all over the Saints right now, so go check him out at LouisianaSports.net, and you can find our stuff at Hunt on Saints. We're chugging along here on this Friday. I got ratioed hard.
Monday.
It's Monday? What did I say?
You said Friday.
Is it Friday?
I wish.
Is it close to Friday?
Not close.
Not close? Not even really close? The first hour on Monday?
I wish.
I think I was just excited to talk about how I got ratioed on Twitter. Destroyed on Twitter yesterday. I will tell you why, and you'll see if I've changed my mind, because everyone disagrees. We'll see.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Really not Friday. Highland Insurance Group doesn't care. You can get insurance coverage any day of the week. Check them out, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carver and his team are awesome folks to work with, and I would recommend that you do, especially with storm season now here. Make sure your policy is ready to respond to a hurricane. I've lived it. In 7 years in insurance, you see storms roll through, and you see businesses that are incapacitated, can't work. What's the business interruption limit? Are you able to cover your expenses and cover what you would have gained if you were working if the storm blows through and it's a severe one? We've had some quiet years here, and that's great. I hope there are 10 more to follow, but we all know that's not necessarily reality. So make sure your insurance program is ready to respond to a storm. The Highland Insurance Group can do that. Property rates are tough. They can give you options at the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Monday shows every single week brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. They're moving healthcare forward over at Guarantee Health Solutions. If you are in the healthcare space, whether you're a dental office, a hospital, whether you're an urgent care clinic, private practice, whatever the case may be, how digital are you? How much time have you put into that? Do you have someone guiding you through that? That's what Guarantee Health Solutions can help you do. They take a look at how many clicks to care, meaning when you go to the website, how quickly can you get an appointment and into the office? And once you get into the office, what's the patient experience like? Once you leave the office after that experience, how do you get back? All these things are what Guarantee Health Solutions can help you do. They've grown to 12 states. They've got 23 partnerships. Their teams managed over 1 million patients last year. And just last year, they took a client and went from 65 to a 90 in Net Promoter Score in 3 months. Rachel Fricke and her team are doing awesome work. Check them out online at guaranteehealth.com. It's Guarantee Health Solutions, online at guaranteehealth.com. All right, I sent a tweet out yesterday. It was at 3:42 p.m. Since it has gotten 118,000 views, it has gotten 189 comments, and 3 of them I think were positive.
189 comments is never good.
I think three of them were positive.
It sounds about right.
Yesterday, in a game between Nebraska and Arizona State,
Okay.
the best player in the country, Landon Harrison, was called out on strikes. Pitch was probably inside, might have caught the corner. He was called out on strikes. As the umpire went and rung him up, Hairston stepped out of the box and flipped the bat about 18 feet in the air. He then walked over, picked it up, and walked into the dugout. About 30 seconds later, they threw him out of the game.
Okay.
I said, this guy's hitting like 380 with 30 homers. I mean, he's incredible. It's not that good, but it's really good. And I'd really like to see him play. I think that his play is important to the NCAA baseball tournament. So what I'd rather the umpire do is walk over and go, hey, don't do it again. And let's just keep the game going. Hairston did not yell at the umpire. He didn't show anybody up. He didn't yell at the other team. He didn't delay the game. He didn't stay on the field. He flipped the bat too high in the air. And I said, I'd really like him to play. And every single person said, nope. He broke the rules. He's a spoiled brat. He's showing everybody up. Kick him out of the game. All I got was F-A-F-O. Wow. Mess around and find out. Yeah. This dude's a brat. This dude's a punk, showing everybody up. Kick him out of the game. So what I learned yesterday, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but what I learned yesterday is that all these people are way more concerned with not stepping over the line and making sure everybody's just walking the straight and narrow and everybody's behaving themselves than like playing the game. I'm for ejections if you throw a bat at somebody. Yeah. I'm for ejections if you won't leave the field. I saw a Kentucky player last night turn around and scream at the umpire. In my opinion, way worse than Hairston flipping the bat up in the air, and he didn't get kicked out. I don't like ejections.
Yeah.
And here's the deal with baseball. In football, you get a 15-yard penalty. In basketball, you get a technical.
Get a tech.
In baseball, get out. And I don't want anybody disqualified. I want to watch the guy play. He's the best player in the country. And some people misconstrued this about, you can't just do it based on how good they are. I don't want to inject anybody. I don't want anybody ejected. You're ejected, to me, if you throw it at somebody's head, if you fight somebody, or you will not leave the field. You're ejected. But a guy that cares, that's trying to go to Omaha, that's trying to win a regional, and he doesn't like a third strike call, and in a snap judgment, this took 0.8 seconds. He flipped the bat in the air, and now he's out of the game. I don't think it's that big a deal. And everybody my Twitter mentions thinks I'm an absolute clown. We got to kick this guy out of the game.
Yeah. I'm so surprised by
everybody. He's a child. This is a spoiled generation. Play the game the right way. Little league kids get kicked out for this, and everybody's saying it. And I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I'm right. I just don't see it your way at all. Like, not even close. I think it's more important for Landon Hairston to play, and I think that's more entertaining, and that's why we're here, to be entertained and to do to have the best guys out there. It's not to make sure everybody's behaving like it's a tea party. Like, it's not a cocktail hour. It's a baseball game. He flipped the bat in the air, and then he picked it up and went to the dugout. It's just, to me, no, you're not ejected. Now, if we want to talk about Trey Phelps, who hit a home run for Georgia yesterday and stood in the box for 8 seconds, and the ump had to push him out of the box. And then he turned around and waved at his parents. And then he turned around and waved to the students. And he threw the RPM down to 600, and he was Cadillacing the whole way around. Like, I don't like that either. I wouldn't eject him, but I'd say we're not doing that again. I would like for the umpires who have nothing on the line to be the mature folks.
Be the adults.
And I just don't see a problem if Landon Harrison strikes out strike 3 and he throws the bat, for instead of the umpire going, you're out of here, for the umpire to go, hey, I don't know what his number is. Hey, 14. Not again. And then it's over. It just keep playing.
Yep.
Like, is that the end of the world? And I got 185 people on Twitter saying, hey, you're wrong. This dude's a brat, spoiled, entitled, awful generation, doesn't know how to respect the game. I guess we just want everybody to be robots, to run around the bases. Like, this is not the worst thing I've ever seen in the world. He didn't say anything. He didn't delay the game. I'd like to see him hit again. He's really good at hitting. I don't have no dog in this fight. It's Nebraska against Arizona State. What the heck do I care? I just don't think this is so objectionable. And I'm the one who came on post-game last year at Coastal, said, don't eject the coach for yelling. He wants to win. He's intense. Sorry, these guys are in the middle of the cauldron. The umpire's not. No one agrees with me. Obviously, I'm in the vast minority, but you're never, ever going to back me off this one. Just quit kicking people out of the game. You fight somebody, you're out of the game. You won't leave the field, you're out of the game. You flip the bat towards the dugout and pick it up, we'll see you next time. I don't know. Sports Center's coming up. Hour 2 is coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Go Tros Outdoor Power. Go Tros Outdoor Power. We got new deals over at Go Tros Outdoor Power. By now, you know, 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and, of course, in Gonzales as well. Great, great, great stuff in the entire month of June. The Hustler Raptor Series, $200 off. Hustler Fast Track Series, $500 off. Hustler Commercial Mowers, listen to this, up to $1,500 off. You realize this is the biggest Hustler dealer in the state. National Hustler Dealer of the Year, 2 of the last 3 years. Those deals are all month long. Big one is coming up for Father's Day week, the 15th through the 20th. So you got a couple of weeks, but 15th through the 20th, customers can get discounted prices and no sales tax as well. It's an awesome month to get by Go Tros Outdoor Power. 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales. Go by and see them. It's my friends at Go Tros Outdoor Power.